Hey guys, it's Seth from SU Fly Fishing. This video is about something that's happening right now. Right now we got brown trout spawning and brook trout spawning. For those who don't know, brook trout are native to Appalachia, and their rivers in which they inhabit are dwindling because of a lot of things: overfishing, pollution, men just putting unnecessary pressure on water as far as like just leaving there, more populations. Just the environment in which they thrive is diminishing. And brown trout are a wild brown trout in Virginia is prized. Like if you get one that's over 20 inches, you've caught the fish of the year. Like that's a great fish. For someone that only gets to go fishing, 25 times a year, less than that, if you catch a 20-inch fish, that's a great fish. So that's the average fisherman. And during this time, for wild and native populations, it's important to know what is and what isn't okay. Should you go fishing if you see reds? Can you fish off reds? And what is ethically acceptable as far as the time to fish for the fish after they have, after they've made babies. The first thing, can you fish if you see reds? If you see them spawning, can you fish? Well, yeah, you can fish. And there's an ethical way to do it. One, if you see reds, leave it alone. Don't bother it. Be vigilant. Do not purposely put something in front of a fish that's making babies. Stay away from it. Purposely avoid reds. Honestly, if you really feel like you aren't able to resist the temptation or you're not real sure what to look for, a lot of people just leave those rivers alone, honestly. And I would say, especially for brook trout or a population of brown trout that isn't thriving, this is a great practice. When we hit November, I don't touch brook trout fishing till December. For 2 months, leave them alone. And brown trout, I will fish during the spawn, but I won't target reds. And if I feel like that river in particular is struggling with the wild brown trout population, I'll leave it alone. In fact, one of my favorite streams that I fish a lot, y'all have seen it on here. I went fishing and saw that they were starting to pair up. I saw a few reds, and I saw some males acting very territorial. I'm probably not going to fish that for another, I guess, month, because that river tends to spawn early. So it's one of those things where you have to make a judgment call for yourself, but the definites are: do not fish for fish on reds, and do not over pressure water where you have actively spawning fish. You can still fish it, just you have to be ethical and you have to use your gut. You have to be able to go, you know what? There's been a lot of pressure on this water and they're trying to make babies. I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm going to go to another place that just has rainbows. Or if you're lucky enough to live out west, cutthroats. Okay, so, or other thing, I don't know. I know right now I'm probably going to go fishing for rainbows, and there's this one particular tailwater near me that has hybrid bass in it. I've never caught a hybrid bass on a fly rod. Why not? So, just use your conscience. So, sorry, I had to go. Someone's at the door. But, the last point I wanted to make, because I kind of lumped the first two together, okay, is when is it okay to fish for trout after? Well, technically, once they get off red, you can fish for them all you want. The real issue that you have is foot traffic. Are you stepping on reds? Are you making it to where reds are being disrupted in any way? Are you allowing anything to maybe disrupt or push the eggs off the bed, push them off the reds? You have to be very mindful of where your feet are. And typically, it's about a 2-week, in my experience, about a 2-week period after trout spawn that they're just like, they're exhausted. They're not really wanting to eat anything. And that's when you get those real skinny fish with big heads, is right after spawn. They're exhausted, okay? So I would wait 2 weeks just to fish for them, because you're not really going to have any luck. And it increases the chance of them being able to fight and not die. It allows them to start replenishing their energy. And I think that's a good thing. So I think as fishermen, we have to be good stewards of our, what we've been given. And I think that for what we have, we need to be very, not careful, but very respectful of the environment that we have. The last thing I want to say is the reason why we don't fish off reds. Okay, a lot of people, they hear, don't fish off reds, and they go, why is this guy telling me not to do this? I do it for bass all the time. Or fishing for spawning fish. You can do that for, salmon in some place. Like, what are you talking about? Trout, there are two main reasons. The two main reasons is, one, making babies is tiresome, okay? And if the fish is already stressed and exhausted and doesn't have any energy, and then you make it run what's equivalent to a 10K, catching it and fighting it, the mortality rate is increased dramatically. And these are big spawning, brooding fish, so you don't really want to kill them if you want that population to stay healthy. And the second thing, when fish dig out the reds, okay, when they make it appropriate, they are removing a good portion of that protective coating, that protective slime on them. And when you catch them and they don't have that cover, that makes it very easy for them to get some kind of infection, bacteria, something that could cause them harm during spawning. Let's be good stewards. I know that it took me a long time to kind of get it. I didn't grow up knowing every, ethical thing to do with fly fishing and how to keep a population healthy and all that. So I don't try to go around like preaching like you're an awful person. It's just, we should, as outdoorsmen and fishermen and people that respect and love the outdoors, we should be good stewards, and we should be learning and constantly progressing to be better stewards of this land that we have. So I think that's a good starting point. I think that, the more that we allow ourselves to be real honest with ourselves, we can start, becoming better fishermen. And I think also it'll allow us to open, other doors to other species. Like I said, I'm probably going to go floating down tailwater that has hybrid bass. I know people that go muskie, fly fishing for muskie right now. Smallmouth are still biting. It's not as good, but I mean, you can still catch smallmouth. And it's just, there's a lot of things you can do besides fly fish for spawning fish. Okay. So that's all I got to say for this one. It's one of those things that, I think of it, I'm like, hey, I should make a video about this. And not to say that I'm better than anyone, because I'm not. I make mistakes all the time, especially in fly fishing. I have to learn all the time with stuff I'm doing right, doing wrong. And it's one of those things that if there's something that I know to be a proven way to help improve things for everybody, I'd like to echo it. So I hope y'all enjoy. If you have any questions, leave a comment, guys. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. And as always, guys, tight lines and blessings.